very much. Hello, all you Rocko modern lifers. It is a pleasure to be here. So thank you very much, man. If I gotta fill in, I'm happy to do it on this. What an amazing occasion. And I really don't want to take any more time because I want to introduce you to the lovely, the talented, the creator of Rocko's Modern Life, Joe Murray.
This is really strange. Carlos and I, a couple months ago, were sitting around having lunch, and Carlos goes, you know, it'd be really cool if we got the group together again, and we did like a Rocko live show. And then I took a sip of my coffee, and I said, never, never, never! Never! So I really want to thank you all for coming. It's really great that we're doing this, and I have no idea what's going to happen today. It's very spontaneous. These guys haven't done these voices for 20 years, so bear with us.
Actually, they're all working at 7-Eleven now. Things haven't gone so well for the cast. They'll figure it out.
So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Rob, and we're going to introduce our cast.
Thank you, Joe. How many Reno 911 fans do you have? Man, you're looking at one, too. Do you know that this guy not only played Officer James Jaime Garcia in Reno 911, see? I mean, gobs of stand-up specials, TV specials. The guy's just stupid. I've worked with him on so many things. Mr. Crocker on Fairly Odd Parents. He was Lou and Winslow on Cat Dog with Mr. Kenny, who was still alive in those days. He was Laszlo in Camp Laszlo. Clearly, Mr. Murray dug his work, gave him another gig. I worked with him on Tough Puppies, Animaniacs, Powerpuff Girls, Planet Sheen, Jimmy Neutron, The Annoying Orange, right? We're still working on The Annoying Orange now. So why don't we bring him out here? Rocko himself! I first fell in love with Tom's wife, Jill, on Mr. Show. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to admit I fell in love with Tom, too. Not afraid to hug a sponge. And this guy, you know that his first major gig was the lead vocalist of the Tearjerkers. Is that right, Tommy?
That is true.
This
the
is
hottest band in the 315 area code in 1979.
Yeah,
the only punk rock band in Syracuse.
That's pretty good. The only punk rock band in Syracuse, and Tom was the lead singer. So we went to that, become many iconic characters, not the least of which is Mr. Sponge Bob, right? And I'll tell you what, man, this guy can do it all. He can write, he's a musician, he's a stand-up improv guy. Why don't we bring down Heifer himself, Tom Kenny, ladies and gentlemen.
Rob, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. Wow. Charlie Adler. I've known Charles Adler for 30 years. I know. It is true. It is true. As I said, I forgot which character it was, but it looked like he was wearing capizios and a wife beater and some stretch pants, and I thought, Charlie, that's you. I mean, that's typecasting right there. Charlie and I met on G.I. Joe and Transformers back in the 1983. I don't know. I know that Charlie holds the patent on fire. So he's been around. I mean, this guy, you know, he also took over for Harvey Fierstein and Torch Song Trilogy on Broadway. Charlie was Buster Bunny on Tiny Toons, Cow and Chicken, and the Red Guy. On Rocko, this man played Ed Bighead, Bev Bighead, Mr. and Mrs. Fathead, Gladys the Big Hippo, more typecasting, George Wolf, Grandpa Wolf, Mr. Dupet, ladies and gentlemen, Charles Adler. Doug Lawrence. What can you say about Doug Lawrence? The guy's well, excuse me, Mr. Lawrence. Thank you very much. Voice actor, stand-up writer, storyboard artist, animation director. He's Sheldon Plankton, for God's sake. Yeah, Larry the Lobster, Sponge. I mean, come on. And he's also the senior writer on SpongeBob. The guy does the whole shooting match. Yeah. He was Filbert, right? Filbert
Yes,
on Rocko's Modern Life. Filbert the turtle, and I got to tell you, I know something about turtles. And he's a good turtle. He's a hell of a turtle. He recently got an Emmy nomination just this year for an outstanding short-form animated program. Wrote and directed a show in which I was lucky enough to work called The Haunted World of El Superbeasto with Rob Zombie. Mr. Lawrence, where the hell are you? Before we begin, do we have preferably a young lady out there who's an excellent burper?
Not burper.
Are you a good, not burper, you're a good burper?
Orly Tate.
Can you audition really quickly?
God, I'm not Orly.
Oh yeah, okay. What do you think? What do you think, Joe? You want to, Mister, you're the producer. Go again, one again, go ahead.
Not bad. Can you do it on cue, like when
We don't need to have a seizure.
When the pressure's on.
There's somebody over here.
Okay, come on down.
Come on up. What is your name?
Rennie Rivas.
Hi, Rennie Rivas. Nice to meet you.
Rennie.
Nice to
Hey, Rennie.
Choose from any of these bachelors.
Please go right down the line. We're going to need you to burp, and I will give you a cue when it is. But in the meantime, these lovely people are going to read a script called Wacky Deli. And Rennie, right? Rennie will be our stunt burper for the day.
Because Tom doesn't do burping.
You know, I have my standards, Joe. I'll do full frontal, but I'm just not good at burping.
Anyway,
Burp bang.
I will just leave it to you folks to knock the hell out of this thing. Here is Wacky Deli Part 1.
The clip from Ralph Bighead's show, The Fatheads, that is running at the beginning, and he's showing it to some executives, who we call pig executives.
Will you lower your voice? You lower your voice. I will make you lower your voice. Lower your voice. You lower your voice.
It's a credit to your genius!
A triumph of your will.
It's okay.
Go away, toadies.
Oh, yes, sir. Right away, sir. Right away, right away.
Finally, it's over. 893 episodes of The Fatheads. Now I can finally create something of real meaning and importance.
And then you go on to say,
I didn't want to do this, you know. Martin said, oh, you gotta play Ralph Bighead.
You know, as your therapist, this is very good for you to do. Just relax, deliver the lines, you're gonna be fine.
Besides, this will help move shirts at Hot Topic.
There was a lot of screaming that was very therapeutic. In the Yoko Ono way. Here,
Action.
action. Here it is. Is this right? Here it is, the final episode of The Fatheads.
Oh, Kimmy. Ooh. And where do you think you're going?
Huh?
you owe us a pilot for another show!
What?
Just check your contract. You'll see we got one more show before we let you go.
But
Have your new show on our desk by next Monday. You got it.
So then we cut to the Big Head's house where they're getting ready for Ralphie's return.
Oh, I can hardly wait to see our little Ralphie.
Oh, great, but why did you let one like those losers?
Oh, Ed, they're Ralphie's biggest fan.
Your son is a huge talent.
All right.
It's a shame that there won't be any more Fathead episodes.
Oh, boys, there will always be reruns. Here he comes now. Something the matter, dear?
Something the matter, dear?
Action.
You haven't changed at all, Charlie. Charlie was always, let's get this thing going. I gotta get out of here. I got another guy. You have another live read?
Something the matter, kid?
They're forcing me to make a new show. I don't want to make a new show.
Oh, he doesn't want to make a new show.
I wanted to pursue my dream. I wanted to sculpt the world's largest still life. Now I'll never get to do it.
What's your new show gonna be about, Mr. Ralph Bighead?
I have no idea.
What do you mean? Creating an idea for an animated show must be so easy.
Oh, Hef, you're a fat dunce. And you know nothing about it.
No, really, I'll show you. It could be about, deli meat. Oh, Mr. Baloney. Look out for Mr. Butcher Knife. Oh, no, get away from me. Hey, home slice.
Hef, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. An idea like that would get Ralph kicked out of his contract.
What was that?
I said an idea like that would get you kicked out of your contract!
I don't remember being read. I think that you've got your finger on the pulse of America.
I do?
How would you and your little friends like to help me create my new show?
Excuse me, son.
Are you crazy? Asking those idiots to help? You riot!
Exactly, Dad. If I let them do my new show, it can't help but be a failure. They'll have to let me out of my contract, and then I'll be free.
I don't know, Rock. This sounds like work.
Yeah, and we don't know anything about making animated cartoons.
But guys, think of all the joy Ralph Bighead's work has brought to our lives. He needs our help. How can we say no?
So, how about it, guys? Can you help me out?
Okay.
We'll do it! We'll do it!
Or we can say no.
Charlie, you can take a break now. You can go to your next gig.
Blah, 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 blah.
You can do all the rest of my lines. Okay, so they drop them off. They drop off the trio in front of the Big Head Studios, BS, and Ralph hands out the goods. Here's your budget. Try not to spend the whole thing. It's a $1 bill, which is pretty close to being true. And here, this will tell you everything you want to know.
Rocko grabs a book and reads.
7,291 simple steps to making an animated cartoon. Well, let's make a cartoon. Step 1, design the characters.
Okay, here's my character. His name is Salami. Ready? Salami! 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 It's like the Jerky Boys.
All right. Pretty funny. This is Betty Baloney. She's a girl.
Okay, this cute little guy I call Lester Rockford. Let me see.
Wow, that looks terrific, Phil.
Yeah, this is great. Can I make one little change?
Yeah.
I think it should be more like this. And we could just call him Mr. Cheese!
No.
All right, guys. Now we need to write the show. Okay,
And then he's had a big board with a bunch of cards on it, index cards. Storyboarded.
and he says, okay, let's see what we've got so far.
Have you seen Robo Frog 5 yet?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, guys, listen. When we open up the show in the morning, Betty Baloney wakes up in the deli, okay? And then she says, oh, what a beautiful day!
I was really trying.
The doorbell rings, and she goes to the...
Telephone!
Excuse me?
Telephone! The telephone rings! It's much funnier that way, don't you think?
Oh, yes, very much funnier, yes.
Yeah, pick a telephone! Because telephones are funnier, okay? You're in the suit, right? Come on!
Do it,
Okay! So the telephone rings, and it's Mr. Cheese on the phone. And the cheese says, good day, Betty! Good day, Betty. Do you want to come over? And then...
The salami!
What?
Salami! It should be salami on the phone. And he says, I hate baloney! And then he attacks her through the phone!
Wait a minute. The salami ain't the only character, you know. Why can't the cheese say it?
The cheese wouldn't say that!
How would you know? I'm the cheese. I know what he says and don't says.
What is it when you take everything so personally?
I don't know. You're the one who's being difficult.
We'll just put down either Sal, Army, or Cheese for now. We've got to move on.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, whatever.
Jeez, Christ.
Yeah, I know. Boy.
Right. Okay, so after the telephone rings, then she answers the...
Oh, yeah.
Let the lady speak!
Hey, we didn't give her a heads up.
Okay, yeah. So I'll do that line again. Are you ready?
Normally the guy in the booth would say,
You ready? Get
cue
some
the
air.
belcher.
You got it?
Cue the belcher.
So,
Frau Belcher.
Here we go.
after the telephone rings, then she answers the...
Hey.
Thank you very much.
And that's supposed to be heifer
You
belching.
can sign your release form there.
I love belching.
Excuse me.
Hey, you could do that on the show. That would be great, huh?
Yeah! And boogers can fly out of my nose! That'd be awesome! You know, they don't
I love that. Yeah, no, wait.
So, Betty wakes up and says, oh, what a beautiful day. And then the telephone...
Or doorbell.
doorbell rings. And she answers it and says, hello. And then the salami...
Or cheese.
says, I hate baloney, and attacks her through the phone before belching while all this stuff comes out of his mouth while he holds on him for a long time. Okie dokie. So then she walks over to the counter.
Hold it.
What?
You know, I was thinking,
Yes?
do we really need the cheese at all?
Why, you big, stupid cow. Why do you torment me like this? Just let me do it the way I want to do it.
Cue montage of making the animated episode.
And then we open on
Step 47 to step 7,212. Draw lots and lots of little pictures.
Everybody's sitting at the drawing board.
And what happened?
Next one. Next one. All we have to do is edit the film and we're done.
Oh, it's stupid now. It's stupid. Is that what you think of me?
The cheese, my lord, is stupid, loud and stupid.
Oh, yeah? Well, you know the salami chase sequence? You know what I think of that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You know the big cheese climax ending?
Yeah. You stupid.
It's not stupid.
You call yourself an enemy. You can't fix stuff. You big dummy. You fixed your filthy stinking paws off my cyborg. You stink.
Clear his throat. Hey guys, just came by to pick up the finished film. I'll give you a couple minutes to wrap things up, okay?
Hold on. Here it is.
Great. I'll zip this over to the executives. Thanks a bunch. Then we cut to the... We're getting ready for the film clip now. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now the two executives are sitting in the front row, and he's up like this, and talking to the execs. Let me say, before we start, that I'm very happy with this. It's about deli meats.
Deli meats?
And if you pick this up for 893 more episodes, you'll get more of the same. Okay, hit the lights.
Oh boy, what a beautiful day. Hello? I hate bologna!
I am the cheese. I am the best character on the show. I am better than both the salami and the bologna combined.
Notice the texture of this meatloaf, and the pineapples give it a festive touch.
I am the cheese. I am the best character on the show. I am better than both the salami and the bologna combined. I am the best character on the...
The meatloaf should be spongy, yet firm.
Salami, better than the bologna, better than the...
Embrace it.
So, what'd you think? We love it!
Why don't you talk amongst yourselves so that people here can understand why on earth you're all so able to do this with no chemical inducement that we know of?
Well, Tom was handing out beers beforehand.
Is that what it was? Tommy's handing out beers?
Thank you, 5 Hour Energy.
No, actually...
No, Martin Olson was
what was
handing out beers. Yeah, that's what happened.
What was the...
I can hear Martin laughing.
I know, I heard it the whole time. It's so great.
Martin was the one, you know, in the beginning of the Fatheads, when you hear the laugh going on? That's Martin.
That's Martin, yeah. His real laugh, by the way. And we screened it just for him, and he was the only guy sitting in the room, just one audience, and we just sat there laughing, and we just picked up all his laughs.
Yeah.
It's so great. It's so funny.
Joe, I wanted to ask you, when I was mentioning those MTV things that I saw years ago that with the cow being forced through the wall or the window or whatever, it had MTV on the logo.
Through the screen.
Yeah, through a screen. Now, was that part of the genesis of Rocko? I mean, of the show?
Well, the cow ended up being Heifer.
Heifer, yeah. But I mean, what was the genesis of the whole shooting match that made you say, I'm going to make this show? And hire Carlos Alazraqui for his first gig. This was your first show.
No.
Tom, wasn't it your first show too?
I had a little animation studio, and we did some things. We did some commercial projects and did the MTV stuff, and then I was doing independent film at the same time, and I was trying to find funding for. I think everybody's heard this story before, but. I haven't heard the story, and I worked on the show.
This is for posterity.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, so I'm trying to find money to finish my show, and my agent, my accountant, who's in New York, he goes, Joe, send me a tape. I'll give it to Sarah Levinson. She works over at Nickelodeon. And so I sent him a tape, and then they called me from Nickelodeon, and Linda Saminsky did, and said, we can't do anything with this movie, but do you have any ideas for animated series? Would you like to work in television? And I said, no. Because right then in the 80s, it was all strawberry shortcake. But she said, we were trying to do something different. We're trying to get something out there that's different from what's out there. And we want you to do exactly what you do with your independent films. And I thought that was really ridiculous. But I thought that if she gave me money to start developing a show, I could put that money into my film, which is what the whole goal was. Yeah. So we kept going every step of the way. George Maestri helped. We did some writing, and then we did storyboard, and then they kept saying, "This is good. Go to the next step." And we're like, "Really? What? This is too weird." And then they said, "We want you to go to pilot." And I had never done voice. I never had voices in my independent films. I think
that's right. They're all like silent films.
They were, well, they had music, but sound effects.
You had the Gish sisters, I think.
Yeah, so we started doing this audition with this in the basement of George Maestri's house.
It was all on the up and up.
Yeah, it was very. So Carlos, we had a long casting call, and mostly voiceover guys for commercials. They would go, "Well, Spunky. Garbage day is a very dangerous day." And then Carlos comes in and he just totally blows us away. We said, that's Rocko. And then no, did you do Spunky
No, at first I did Spunky and Nick Jennings went through the roof. He's like, "Oh my God, you're Spunky, you're Spunky." And you said you didn't want an Australian accent, so I did Bruno Kirby, no hablo inglés from, the freshman.
And then I did Woody Allen, and then eventually I read like a vacuum thing, like, plug hose A into slot C.
And then what got me to stay with us, I did Gene Wilder. "You are not evil, you are good." That got me to stay, and then eventually we tried
that Rocko voice, which had more Australian in it,
and that's what you guys sent off to Nickelodeon.
And also the fact that he was a stand-up comic. This is exactly what I was looking for, because I wanted someone who could improv on the spot, and all these guys could improv.
Now, but Carlos, you told me that literally was your first audition for
That's my first audition. Show? I didn't have an agent. I made a tape in the kitchen of some apartment. Just on a little recorder where you had to go, "Quiet," one of those. Literally. And I sent it in. There was a producer named Mark McNamara from San Francisco State. I sent that in with a 8x10. Next thing I know, I drive up near the Sutro Towers, and there's guys coming out. They were alive. And I went and auditioned, and the rest was kind of history, And then,
obviously,
Tom will tell his story, but I'd like to believe that when we were casting the rest of the voices, they couldn't find Heifer, and at least in the office, they might have contacted him. I said, "I know this guy, Tom Kenny. He's an amazing stand-up comedian since Rockabilly. You should try this guy out as Heifer." So in this version of the story, I'll take credit, but you probably have other events. But,
yeah, I remember a little differently. Joe came to me and said, "We're looking for a voice for the Wallaby." I said, "Carlos Alazraqui, baby." No, Carlos was nice enough to suggest me for the part because we were both Bay Area stand-ups who had known each other, gosh, probably since the late 80s. Yep. And also, at that time, I was living in San Francisco, and you worked at a health club
Coal Valley Fitness.
Around the corner from my house. Yeah, he like, you know, so you'd see him like on a treadmill and like. So he suggested me for the part, and I remember I went in, I loved cartoons, loved animation, and you know, that was really secretly what I wanted to do anyway, you know, and was having trouble busting through that, whatever, glass ceiling, the door of that glass ceiling. And so went in an audition and did my nephew, who at that time was 12 or 13 years old, and his voice was starting to change, and he would like tell you stories about something funny that happened to him, and he would start laughing about it. And I was like, I'm stealing that, thank you. And so my 13-year-old nephew, Sean, who's now like a father of 2 kids and like a grown-up man and stuff, which is completely weird to think how time flies by, was the inspiration for Heifer.
But let me ask, now that this is being taped, am I entitled to 5% of all his earnings?
5%? How does 10% sound to you?
Beautiful! I rest my case!
I think you very much have.
Yeah.
So I actually have a version of how Doug
I don't
came on
remember.
the show.
What's that?
But I don't know if it's the version that you have.
Of what? What are you saying?
How you came to be Filbert.
You couldn't cast Filbert. It was the one that was hanging for a long time, and it just kept sitting there, and I kept doing what I thought was Filbert in the pitches. And so people kept saying, why don't you, you should do it. You should do a tape. And I was just like, I didn't want to get involved. I thought, they're not going to let me do it anyway because I'm already directing and writing on the show. I said, it's not going to work. So I just anonymously threw a tape in. And I remember my audition a little bit. I just remember it was Filbert complaining about ailments. And he said, my eyesight is bad, my feet hurt, and I have fiddler crabs in my stool. And that's why it hurts when I walk. And so Joe didn't know it was me. Joe knew there was a voice, and he apparently, I wasn't in the room, but he stood up and went, that's it, that's him, who's this?
It was like The Voice.
Yeah, and then they went, it's Doug. They went, it's Doug, and everybody went, oh.
Fiddler crabs in my stool.
I love that. I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's a crime scene. Just keep walking.
I just started. It was the first time I was directing anything, and I was scared that I'd lose that job, so I didn't want to, go crazy.
But I think that was a saving grace because for me to go in and say, hey, this director does voices.
Yeah.
The executives are going, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And for me to sell it, it's like I picked his voice out
Yeah.
I didn't know it was him.
Yeah.
So.
No, thanks for pushing it.
So that
Fiddler crabs in my stool. Fiddler crabs in my stool.
And that's how the whole Seth MacFarlane thing started.
He came in and he did Bev and Ed. No, first you did Bev.
Darling.
You threw me away. You blew me away with Bev.
You had me at
What, dude?
This is Bev. This is exactly Bev. And it was based on this woman in my neighborhood. She didn't try and seduce me, but she was Bev. and then I said, can you do a guy too? And then you did Ed.
So I got most of my work.
But before I forget, I'll jump forward. Our first day recording, I'm really nervous. It's my first pilot. All these executives are there. And I'm like, I've never done voiceover before. And I walk in, and Charlie's already there because he wants to get the out, And I walk in, and I see this guy seated from behind, and all these pages. He's like, oh, dear. I'm getting the out of here.
Literally. That's
and I
literal.
was shaking. This guy was just a genius, Phantom of the Opera at the microphone, and I'm like,
You could do everything perfectly.
And I was just really crabby.
Yeah.
I would go there, and I loved the show, and I loved the characters, but I had stuff to do, and everybody was new, and I was old when I was old. I mean, I was born old. And I was just like,
All right! Can we just do this? Stop talking!
right? Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I just heard about this today, by the way. I had no record.
Well, I had the same...
we couldn't get a hold of Linda Wallem.
Linda Wallem played the female part.
Nurse Jackie.
She writes, produced, created Nurse Jackie, Linda Wallem.
Linda
How
Wallem.
brilliant.
Have a hand for Linda Wallem. It's on tape. Linda Wallem.
Whoa.
Hey, Linda.
One of the things that's really great about what we did was that we didn't do one actor coming in at a time and doing their read and leaving. We wanted everybody to do ensemble.
Except me.
Yeah, well, see, that's where the problem
was. I there?
Yeah, you were there.
Because he's used to doing that, but we were all just like, let's just have a good time.
Yeah.
And
the space was big.
Yeah.
So we could wander around. We were actually in a Foley stage, so it was always fun to go to that Foley stage and just wander around.
would walk around like this.
Yeah, we would all assume character stage. We all do it. We all do it.
So
You
they
do
would
this.
start ad-libbing stuff, and we would keep some of it, but sometimes they would just start swearing at each other.
Yeah.
And it was fun, but, you know, Charlie had a place to go, had somewhere to go afterwards.
He had a career and stuff.
You had a lot of voices.
Yeah,
You did a lot of
so it was understandable.
I
We
wasn't.
talked
I
about it
wasn't
every
as
year.
adorable as I
This
appear.
was my opinion, yes.
Maybe Rob has some thoughts.
What's that about? What do I have thoughts? I'm just enjoying the show. I got the
Okay.
best seat in the house. No, I'm enjoying it. I do have an interesting story. My son, who is now grown up, but I remember having done a lot of cartoons myself and worked with all these guys at one time or another, and did time with Tom.
Joliet?
Yeah, Joliet, state prison. It was state prison. It wasn't federal prison. Felony, misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember the first time my son was really freaked out in a cool way by meeting a voice actor was when he found that Mr. Alazraki was Rocko. Now, at the time, I was doing Ninja Turtles, so I thought it was pretty cool that, you know, my kid's old man was Raphael, man. You know? He thought that was okay until he met Rocko. And to this day, he still says, you know, Carlos, you know, yo quiero Taco Bell, when he knew that you were doing the Taco Bell dog and that you're Mr. Crocker and all the other stuff. When he saw you on Reno, he just is like, God, I remember the day that I met Carlos Alazraki. And it's like, it's not that big a deal. He jumps out of airplanes, for Christ's sake, and he plays tennis. But honest to God, Carlos, in addition to your prodigious skills, my kid is still to this day, it's freaked out that he knows you.
I was going through the TV, switching channels after Rocko, and I came across the Hollywood Squares. Is that still in the air? Hollywood Squares? Do you guys know that show? You don't know Hollywood Squares?
Oh, come on. Please, you have to know.
Joe
the mean age of the audience is like 14, which is
which is great.
But they go, here are our stars, and one of the stars is Carlos Alazraki.
Yeah.
And Carlos Alazraki, and I go, wow, that's cool. He's like considered a star, but you know, is it because he did Rocko? And they go, Carlos Alazraki, the voice of the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
Exactly.
That's when Joe says, star my ass.
Well, no.
Yo quiero Rocco's
I'll tell the story of when Carlos climbed into my basement to turn the water main off.
Turn the water main off, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Let's.
No,
I'm digressing.
No, I'm sorry, was there a story about a water main?
Why am I on?
No, we don't know that one. He used to stay at my house when we would do reads.
Again, all on the up and up. I used to sleep with his cats.
Easy.
Carlos, what are some of the other, I mean, we know, obviously folks are here from Rocko, but in addition to your prodigious Chihuahua skills, what can you tell some folk? I mean, they probably all know, but I just want to hear it again.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time, but I do Mr. Crocker and Fairly Odd Parents, Timmy Turner Fairies, talk about your Vivo Gorditas.
Wizzle, hey, cat dog, you prick. I did Laszlo along with Doug Lawrence and Mr. Lawrence and Tom Kenny. I played Laszlo.
And upcoming, I play El Chupacabra on Planes and Planes 2. But I got to, because of Rocko and meeting such, this is the deal, and it'll sound kind of schmaltzy, but I learned how to become a voice actor by watching Charlie and Tom and Doug do their stuff. I mean, I was raw, and so the best way to learn was like the pro of pros, Charlie Adler, just going nuts and like, that's how you do it? And watching Tom and watching these guys come along, I learned so much on Rocko, and then working with you, Rob Paulson, from the Animaniacs. It was the best teaching tool was to be raw and then watch all these guys and Linda Wallem and all the people that came in. So that's how it helped develop the rest of the stuff that I did.
But I don't think it's a surprise, you know? I mean, when all the actors with whom I've had the pleasure working, these folks included, virtually everybody has a performance background, whether it's stand-up, whether it's theater, whether it's music. All the actors are really gifted. I mean, Carlos is, your improv skills come to the fore all the time, and you're called upon to use them all the time.
Everybody, Tom spits gems out of his mouth that you're like, how did he think of that? Got to write it down, right? Okay, keep up. It's like a stenographer. We need a stenographer. All right, hold on, Mr. Kenny. You know.
Miss Titley, read that back to me.
Yeah.
Ooh, what a hoot! No, just watching Tom being a stand-up in San Francisco, his stand-up skills were off the charts, and if he wanted to, could have continued that career and been huge, but I'll just be a voiceover god instead. And then again, watching Charlie just riff and go off the cuff, and watching Doug, his weird, twisted, dark mind, and Joe, yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. Everybody on this panel, and you as well, Rob, your ability to improv and think off the cuff, everybody's is just off the charts, and so that's what we do as voice actors.
Well, and let me ask you, when you, did you ever, oh, sorry, Tommy.
Charlie's ability to get his parking validated and get
Amazing.
the hell out. Awesome.
Charlie, you know what we love about Charlie?
I have to say about Charlie also is that when we were there, I mean, especially me, because I was really, again, walking into the job being very scared and being, you know, really young and just not being sure.
Wait a second. Was this your first voiceover gig?
Oh yeah.
So you were a writer and
director, and then it was
we were like, so we were like Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Carlos Alice Rocky, ladies and gentlemen. Did you see that? How quickly that happened?
It was like bang bang. But Charlie. Charlie was, and I was afraid of Charlie. I think we were
Who
all,
isn't?
We were all intimidated by him. He was mostly because he was so good, and then he was so quick, and he could just do it. And we were all taking takes after take, trying to get the right inflection. He's just like, so I got like really scared one day, and I was worried, and I was pacing around, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this job or do this because I'm just scared. And he just said, "What are you, crazy?" He says, "You know exactly what you're doing. Just follow instincts." I mean, he was just like this acting coach and from then on, I didn't worry about it anymore. I just had fun from then on.
Thank you for telling that, because I'm always trying to get out. Apparently, I'm always trying to get out.
I still want to see Charlie as a Christmas store Santa Claus.
I think that, you know, it's been said that while Tom Kenny is the hardest working man in show business, Charlie Adler is the hardest man to work with in show business. But when you are able to break through that facade, you knucklehead, yeah. When you're able to break through, and I'm telling you something, when Charlie says you're good, you're pretty damn good.
This feels like my funeral. I feel like I'm dead, and I'm getting to hear the eulogy.
Look at you, younger than springtime, Charlie.
Don't make me come over there.
I remember Charlie. Charlie used to wear that scarf while he was recording.
That's right. And the picture hat and the glove.
This is the funnest memorial service ever.
I am big. It's the cartoons that got small.
We're just trying to figure out who's going to kick off first.
What? Are we?
I would say the guy who jumps out of planes.
But Tom.
Yes, but Tom, when was the first time you met Charlie?
Well, you know, same thing.
Dating game. The dating game.
Rochester.
Yeah, just, you know, before we move on from this particular...
Please, Christ, let's do.
Area. You know, I had never done voiceover either, except for one episode of Nice Watch Check, Joe.
Unlike George Bush.
Yeah, I think I got to pee, too. I might be peeing now, actually.
Wow. I just saw the Beach Boys.
Always a producer.
When I saw the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson did that like 3 seconds into the first song. Yeah. That just made me laugh so hard.
Help me,
okay, so we don't have time for this answer.
Yeah, thank God.
Yes, we do. No, Tom.
Tell it, Tom.
In fact, we went.
I'm parked in a 2-hour.
I was just seeing if we had enough time to list through all of Tom's credits.
No, I'm not going to list. That's what IMDb is for.
I was going to say, you have...
IMDb's are boring.
It's like, yeah, I know, but the thing is, if folks know about SpongeBob, and tell them a couple of, I mean, you were the
who gives a shit?
The narrator, right?
I noticed.
We got to get a couple of these.
You did describe the meatloaf as spongy. Yeah. Did you see that?
I should be getting royalties.
Yeah.
5%, 5%.
So, credit-wise, you know...
Yeah, go ahead, Tommy, just a few.
And I was really, really big man, and I was the pilot guy in those episodes. There were pilots and bus drivers.
And SpongeBob.
You were the crazy bus driver.
I was the crazy bus driver, Gary, the narrator on the Powerpuff Girls. The narrator on the Powerpuff Girls. And, currently, the Ice King on Adventure Time. Yeah. And I was Scoutmaster Lumpus on Camp Laszlo.
And you know, just a million boring credits. But yeah, it's IMDb time. But this was the job that I always wanted to do, and this was the first time that I had, except for like one voiceover was on the very short-lived Dumb and Dumber cartoon. Where the Jeff Daniels part was played by Bill Fagerbakke, who later became Patrick on SpongeBob. That was the first time I met him, so it's weird how inbred and hillbilly this whole crazy world is. But this was the job that I always wanted to do, and I'm like, gosh, this is it. This is the first step on this path. This is the job I've always wanted to do. I've worshipped Mel Blanc and Dawes Butler and those guys my whole life. I really don't care that much about stand-up. I don't like it that much, but I feel guilty about not liking it. And you know, what am I going to do? And I got this job thanks to Carlos recommending me on Rocko. And then I go into the studio. Forget 10%, 15% of everything in perpetuity. So I went in for the first time to do Rocko, and here's Charlie doing the big heads because he's got a career and he has to get out of there. And I'm like, I just want to do good. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. I just want to do a good job and keep on doing this. If I can do this till I'm an old dead guy, that will be a very well spent life, you know. And Charlie's in there doing all the freaking big heads, and Joe's going, Charlie, do you want to record these separately? Do you want to do all the Ed stuff first, and then you know, all the Bev stuff, and then we'll cut it together? No! I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow, that Tourette's guy is badass, you know. So like Carlos, I just remember like being terrified going, oh my God, I'm showed up here at typing class and there's a guy that can type like 150 words a minute and I'm going Q, B. You know, I felt like it would be readily apparent that I was faking, you know? Yeah. But it turned out to be as fun, that rare job that's as fun as you fantasize that it would be. You know, I think a lot of people that become firemen or astronauts and they wanted to be that when they were a kid, they got up in space and they go, oh my God, this is not fun. And the voiceover thing really well, because it was anarchy. We were running around and screaming and ad-libbing and just going, yeah, that's great, you know, and Carlos, we're all making each other laugh, and and in a way it kind of spoiled us because we thought that that's the way that every other show was gonna be. And that's not how it is. I mean, every show is different, and some of them are very cut and dried and business-like, and you know, this is our 15th rewrite. We're on the goldenrod paper. It's like, goldenrod? These guys are serious.
How many Brads does yours have?
So you know, for whatever that's worth. I mean, Charlie kind of was the bar that was up here, and where I said, you know, I really got to get better at this if I'm gonna do it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like you're playing basketball with Wilt Chamberlain, you know, and it's like and I suck, you know. So it's like, you know, I better get good fast or else.
Yeah, and it never really happened, did it, Tom? Gee.
Well, the thing is that you get comedians in a room when you guys are all together. You start like trying to make each other laugh, and you guys would just start riffing, and you would go off and do your monologues.
But to Joe, to your credit, to Joe's credit, he didn't discourage that. He was an actor's director. He's like, I'm not going to interrupt this genius. I'll just let it happen, and we'll get what we need. And then
no, it's true, Joe. You were so easy. You were so easy to come in and just. You were not annoying. You were happy. You inspired. You were, which is unusual. No, and you were gentle and you really were. You created the space for us to just do really great work, and it was very freeing.
No, that's a good point, because it's not just on that end where we're doing voices. On the end of storyboarding and writing these shows, I mean, there's very few shows, and they pop up and you can spot them when they happen. They're special, that something's really happening, something's actually going on that's really funny and really particularly good. And Joe was a true collaborator. He really let us come in and collaborate with him and make his show. And it was like, to have that as your first thing, you know, where they're saying, this is the first time you're allowed to really write and have your own voice be part of what's happening. That's like,
yeah, and then you don't get slapped down. You don't get slapped down till later.
That's right. Yeah, later. So we got used to. Yeah, we had to get used to it in reverse. We were all very spoiled.
No, you were very generous. You were very generous.
And when you look at the track record of people that start out on Rocko, like that was really like school for so many people that, you know, I'll leave it to somebody else to list them all, but you know, a lot of them are in the room tonight where that was our first gig. You know, that was like our first employment opportunity in this business that we really wanted very badly to be in and was hard to break into. And those people went on to other things and carried the aesthetic that they learned on Rocko into those other things. And Rocko totally paved the way, even for people that didn't work on Rocko, the Craig McCrackens and the Gendy Tartakovskys and people like that, that went on to really revolutionize things and do.
It's his funeral. It's his funeral now. See?
Come on, Joe.
But I'm saying
it's your eulogy.
I'm saying since Rocko hasn't been available on DVD and stuff like that for a long time, that kind of has been lost a little bit, you know, and this is kind of cool to have as a corrective to that.
And it shows. I mean, it really shows in the product.
Can I say that I was, you know, brought into, and I'm so grateful to be here, but I've not had the pleasure of working with, I've only been a fan of Joe's and the work for a long time, but I got to tell you, Joe's pretty nervous about this from an outsider's perspective. And I told him, look, let me just remind you, and it's important for people to hear this, because the fact that you folks came out on a Saturday morning, not to Burbank, not to Encino, downtown.
Yeah. Some people are from out of town. Some people
are from out of town.
The fact that many of your cars will not be here when
The fact that in addition to coming here, you're going to have to pay a $700 parking ticket isn't, you know, cool. But no, what I told Joe is I said, look, the fact that your show, all these, was it 16 years later, it's been off the air for 16 years? And the fact that, for a while, right?
Yeah.
And the fact is that
there's always Netflix.
That the show has this kind of resonance. And I said, Joe, all you got to do is open the door. You've got him right here. And it's really a testament to your talent, Joe, and what you...
Was it 20 years ago? Is that what it was 20 years ago?
Yeah. Doug Lawrence, Charlie Adler, Tom Petty, Carlos Abercrombie, and Joe Burbank.